Hello everybody, Josh12 back here again with another video, and today I bring you another top 5. It's that time of the week again, and of course I'm going to continue my line of music top 5s, and of course moving on to music biopic movies. Now of course, as always with my top 5s, this is very subjective. It's my personal opinion, my personal list on the best and my personal favorite movies in this specific genre. And of course, as always, not only just because it's my top 5, but because music as a genre, as a medium of entertainment and creativity and art, it's very subjective. I want to say music is possibly even more subjective in comparison to films, and when you compare the two and put them together in the same medium, then it's extraordinarily subjective. So of course, there may be films that you like and prefer other than my movies and my list. So of course, in the comment section below when I'm done with my list, of course, give me your personal top 5 music biopic movies of all time. Now, of course, also, I do have a specific criteria for this specific list, and that is I will not be choosing any biopic films, biopic films. They can't be unofficial or just like, characters that are based on the specific character, but actually, they change the names and, the character names and the story events and what have you. It has to be a completely official storyline that's officially released by the people who are involved or the people who control the music of that specific artist or band. And of course, also for my criteria, I will not be choosing any biopic films that have been done multiple times, basically more than once, because the sad thing with biopic films is that there's always a new dozen of them every freaking couple years. For instance, here's two really good examples, Jimi Hendrix and John Lennon. There are probably dozens of biopic films based off those two artists alone every fucking couple years. So of course, I will not be choosing any of those because, for one, there's so many. I mean, like, it's one thing to do dozens of documentaries, in my opinion. I think that's a pretty okay thing to go by. But when you're doing biopic films, I feel like there should always be at least one definitive version of the story. But because, specific artists and how famous they were or how extraordinary their lives were, there are, of course, multiple versions of the story, multiple actors who played the characters, just multiple directors to try and take on. Let's do Jimi Hendrix again. Let's do John Lennon. He gets old after a while, so over the course for this specific top 5, I will not be choosing any particular biopic film that's been done more than once, and particularly that's been done over a very famous character like Jimi Hendrix or John Lennon. Not that I hate those films that they've made over the course of time with those specific icons, but I just feel like if you keep doing the same story more than once with the same fucking person, then you're just not really doing, justice to the person itself. You're just, wasting time with film and music and what have you. Nonetheless, let's just get right down into this top 5. Starting up in number 5 has to go to The Runaways. The Runaways is, of course, a film that's based off the 1970s all-girl rock band The Runaways. And, of course, it tells the story of the specific band member, the lead vocalist, of course, Carrie Curry, and her specific journey through her rise and fall with Runaways, and of course the expansion of her relationship with Joan Jett, who's being played by Kristen Stewart, and of course her rise to becoming Joan Jett, the Joan Jett that we know today, and of course, they're just expansion of their band and their relationship together. And I just love the movie itself. The Runaways is an awesome band. I love their band, and of course I'm a humongous fan of Joan Jett. She's a badass, awesome chick. And Dakota Fanning, she's just a badass. She's been a badass actress ever since she was a little kid to now, where it's finally time to see her in more. I don't want to say grown up is the wrong word, because she's been in a lot of very extravagant, big budget, grown up movies, if you will, adult movies rather, with big stars, like Tom Cruise or Denzel Washington, what have you. So she's been killing it ever since. But it's good to see her take more of an adult role, which she does extensively throughout this film, and I just love this movie. It's just really awesome. Of course, it's kind of one-directed because it's only told by the perspective of one person, which is, I guess, the biggest downfall of this movie, and of course, why it's so low on my list. But nonetheless, I just love the performances. The story itself is awesome. The music is awesome. Every specific actress who plays their specific character is amazing, especially Kristen Stewart, and that's saying a lot because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm pretty sure there's a huge audience that kind of feels the same way as I do when it comes to Kristen Stewart. For me, Kristen Stewart isn't really a great actress. I never saw her and was like, wow, she's amazing. And I saw her when she was doing the child acting stuff, and then when she blew up with the Twilight bullshit, and then like she was in this. And I kind of felt kind of at odds with it because I like the Runaways, I like the story, I love Joan Jett. And Joan Jett, I guess, particularly chose her to play her in the movie. So I guess she kind of, saw something in her. And after seeing the movie itself, I have to say that Kristen Stewart actually kills it as Joan Jett in this movie. To which I say, I really wish she would become more of a character actress than she is the big budget Hollywood bullshit, like, leading lady kind of, actress. Because she can't really pull that off. She doesn't really have that kind of presence. She's better as like the supporting character or like the character actor. That's the best way I can pretty pronounce how good she could be and how good I would like her to be, because based off this movie, she fucking kills it as Joan Jett. Dakota Fanning kills it in this movie. This movie just in general is just awesome and amazing, and I definitely prefer a lot of people to check it out. Nonetheless, moving off of that, going to number 4 on my list has to go to, this one was kind of picky, and I don't really know how to feel about it because there's been, I guess, a long gap since I've seen it to now. So I don't know how particularly it holds up, but based off memory and based off nostalgia, I just had to put it in there just for the sake of nostalgia. And that has to go to Selena, which of course is played by Jennifer Lopez. And once again, kind of like the Kristen Stewart thing, it's kind of hit or miss. And it's give or take relationship with these specific actresses. Jennifer Lopez, there's a lot you can say about her, but I don't know if great actress can come to flourishing when you're discussing her fucking abilities as an actress. But I definitely have to say that her performance as this specific character in this specific film obviously blew her up. And it obviously makes sense because she's so fucking good in it as the leading role character, Selena. And of course the story is obviously, those typical, the big famous female leading star kind of rise to fame kind of story. Like those Beyonce stories or what have you, where she was extraordinarily talented at a young age. Her father pushed her to become more famous. Then she became obviously a worldwide phenomenon, singer, songwriter, what have you, recording artist, if you will. And of course tells the story of her relationship with her father, her career, her husband and slash boyfriend slash, musician, rock star, guy. And of course her circumstances with her death, her untimely, unfortunate death. And of course, just Jennifer Lopez kills it. And I just really wish she can kill it in everything else she does, like she did it in this film, because she does really kill it. And of course this movie blew her up for, self-explanatory reasons. And I just wish for every movie that she did that was not like, as Paul Costa would put it, very typical of a movie with Jennifer Lopez, I wish she would kill it just as much as she did in this movie. But overall, looking back at it, this movie's awesome. The story's great. The acting's amazing. Jennifer Lopez just embodies the persona of Selena. And of course, the music is, what kills it for me personally. And the tragic death that leads to our inevitable end with the story is also really incredible and, cultivating. Nonetheless, moving off of that, going to number 3 on my list, has to go to the movie Control. Now, of course, if you don't know what Control is, it's a biopic movie based off the life of Ian Curtis and his rise to fame with his band, his post-punk band, Joy Division. Now, of course, Joy Division is an awesome band that I think is possibly the greatest possibly the greatest, one of the many greatest, because of course, once again, music is subjective. You can't really say like, oh, it's the greatest, because that's almost as stupid as a statement as saying like, oh, Kiss is the greatest band ever. You can't really make that statement and have it have any kind of legitimate standing. But Joy Division, I like to say, in my personal opinion, would like to consider it one of the many greatest and most underrated bands of its time and era. And of course, the story itself of Control, if you've never seen it, is obviously the story of Ian Curtis, his life leading up to fame, his relationship status with, his wife and his girlfriend that's on the side, and his relationship with how to deal with a family, and also, trying to be a rock star and a great musician at the same time, and, his persona, and also his life dealing with epilepsy and what have you. So, and it's just an amazing movie. I have to say it's one of my favorite movies of 2007, and every time I see it, I just feel like I have to step my game up as just a creative art, as an artist in general. When you see a movie like this that's done in this specific style, of course, it's in black and white, and of course there's dozens of movies done in black and white, but this was just, it just has a different feel to it, where it feels like a black and white photograph of the band at that specific era brought to life. That's how it kind of feels. And I have to give credit to the director for accomplishing that. And the movie just in and of itself is amazing. It's awesome. The music is awesome. Joy Division kicks ass, of course. And the story of Ian Curtis is far more entertaining and interesting, rather, than I would ever have thought. So that's why it's so high on my list. But nonetheless, moving off of that, going to number 2 on my list has to be, I guess, if you will, a more, I don't want to say overrated, but a more widespread, very heavily, overwhelmingly, critically appraised kind of film, which has to go to Ray, which is obviously played by Jamie Foxx, and of course tells the story of Ray Charles's life from childhood to fame, and of course his incredible talent, his story with drugs, and of course how he became blind and how he utilized that to becoming more of the musician that we knew to realize him as. And of course, so on and so forth. Ray is obviously also the movie and the year that really blew up Jamie Foxx, kind of similar to how it did for Jennifer Lopez with Selena. The same thing happened with Jamie Foxx, where 2004 has to be like the year of Jamie Foxx, where he just blew up and he became a big star with movies like Collateral and Ray, and he had like the biggest record in the world, biggest movie, and it makes sense. The music is awesome. The performance that Jamie Foxx puts into Ray is amazing. It has to be the best performance I've ever seen him ever do, and that's saying a lot, especially for a guy. I guess I don't want to say that I'm not a big, I don't want to say I'm a hater of Jamie Foxx, but I can't really say I'm a fan. But I have to say that he kills it in the specific role as Ray Charles, and the movie itself is just awesome. So, and I don't really want to go into further without spoiling the entire movie. But nonetheless, before I get into my inevitable end with this film that I'm about to name as my number 1 pick in biopic music films, I'd like to name off a couple of honorable mentions. Now, of course, let's just name them off, because there's a lot that I have to, give an honorable mention to, because there's tons of movies based off musical groups, bands, rock stars, and various artists. So, of course, let's just name off several or multiple honorable mentions. Of course, Nowhere Boy, The Doors, Notorious, and Behind the Candelabra, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's the Liberace biopic film, which also is pretty badass. I would have put it on my list, but I don't think it has a lot of time yet for me to really consider it a classic yet. But nonetheless, it is a pretty awesome movie. Moving off of that, Sid and Nancy, La Bamba. Moving off of that, we also, The Walk the Line, Last Days, and I guess that's it for honorable mentions. There's not really that many other films that I can consider an honorable mention, because, once again, I haven't seen them all, and of course, majority of them are at least multiple renditions of the same basic story. So, nonetheless, moving off the honorable mentions, getting into my number one pick has to go down to I'm Not There, which is, of course, the biopic film based off the life and multiple lives of Bob Dylan and his public persona as these specific characters. Now, of course, the characters are played by actors like Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Richard Gere, and of course, Christian Bale, Cate Blanchett, who I think kills it. I have to say, Cate Blanchett's performance in I'm Not There has to be, I guess, the main reason as to why it's number one and as to why this movie is so good. I think the movie would be okay, but I don't think it would be as good if it did not have Cate Blanchett's performance in this movie. Now, of course, without spoiling the whole thing, it obviously tells the story of specific storylines that kind of, under evolve each other, where the specific actors are playing specific versions of Bob Dylan at a specific point in time, like him when he was an actor, him when he started becoming more of an electric guitar player, him as the folk singer, as the preacher, as all these specific type of personas that Bob Dylan has had over the years. And of course, these various actors play those versions of him throughout the movie. And it's just an amazing story. And every single actor kills it in their specific role as Bob Dylan. Like, I don't really think there's a flaw in each specific character actor's performance in the entire film. Every single person kills it. Christian Bale kills it as the folk singer. Heath Ledger kills it as the actor. Richard Gere kills it as Billy the Kid. And Cate Blanchett just kills it as just embodying Bob Dylan. I mean, she looks like Bob Dylan. She just came to life as Bob Dylan. And that's saying a lot. Cate Blanchett is amazing. She kills it as an actress. I think she's definitely one of the greats. She's one of my faves, if you will. And the story itself is just awesome. The music is awesome. Every actor's performance is awesome. The visuals, the directing, the writing, everything about this film is just amazing. I love it. Just even talking about it makes me want to watch it right now. And of course, just overall, Cate Blanchett kills it, and she is, I would love to say, which I'm pretty sure a lot of others would say, is the defining reason as to why this movie has to be number one, or at least on a list of top biopic music films. Nonetheless, this has been my top 5 list of music biopic movies. I hope you guys enjoyed. In the comment section below, let me know what you personally thought about my list. Also, tell me your personal top 5 music biopic films list. And of course, next time, I guess, if things go correctly without any kind of big exploding news, I guess next week I'll be doing possibly, to finish this, this round of music top 5s, I guess to do my top 5 music documentaries. I guess that would be next. So nonetheless, I guess, if everything goes well, more than likely, this, my next top 5 will be, top 5 music documentaries. Nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys comment below. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And this has been John 12.